Happy Saturday, one and all. It really is a happy Saturday, isn't it, if you're a race fan? What a bunch of action we've got coming up for you. Stick with us in the next hour or so. Here it's time for another edition of the Morning Post, brought to you, of course, in the HQ of the Racing Post and sponsored by William Hill. Dave Orton with some esteemed company. Giving you basically punting pointers and loads of profit, hopefully, along the way. Not just a Saturday service, we'll be serving up Sunday for you as well at the Curragh. Mouth-watering action, another classic to talk about as well. Don't forget, this is your chance to have a shout out this morning. Let us know where you are. What are you backing today? How are you feeling about the, what should we say, feast ahead? Like and subscribe. Thumbs up. That's what it's all about. Who's with me then? Paul Kealy comes back for another stint on his favourite morning show. Keels, Guten Morgen.
How you doing? Favourite morning shows? Well, the only one I do, to be fair. So
is that? Yes.
But no, I do enjoy it. It's good fun. I do enjoy it. It's good fun, and this is an immensely good day's racing.
Yes,
Fantastic.
that's how I should have said it.
I can't wait for it.
And we've got an immensely good guest or two coming on. Johnny Dineen's actually made the pilgrimage over.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking forward to today myself. As flat racing go, it doesn't get much better than today, I don't think, anyway. I'd say it's definitely up there in the top one or two flat Saturdays of the whole season, I would
You
say.
could have woken up this morning and gone to the Macby Diva Stakes at Flemington, right, and back like Mr. Brightside and Pride of Jenny and all that sort of thing. And you can go on to Woodbine tonight, of course, can't you? So it is an absolute unashamed punting paradise. Let's open up the trading floor as we always do. Johnny Simpson, the top judge at William Hill, joins us for another Saturday. Good morning, John.
Morning, Dave. Yeah, it's a mammoth day's racing and thoroughly looking forward to getting stuck in.
There he is in his sauna, which brings me nicely to my next guest, of course. We will get the boost to you shortly. But I want to bring in our ambassador. Shall we get an ambassadorial role on the show? There he is, Nick Luck. I wondered where you might be this weekend, Nick. Are you across the Irish Sea by any chance?
I was sitting at home. I've got a day off. Would you believe it? I know. I wanted to know, though, in Johnny's top 2 flat days of the year, whether this was at number 1 or number 2.
I'd say, off the top of my head, I'd say it's number 1, yeah. I'd say it's number 1.
Yeah.
That's interesting, Nick. I've got some questions for you that the producers have summoned up. But perhaps just set the scene for us. Of course, before we go into this weekend, the seismic news that perhaps everyone had been waiting for. Sir Michael Stoute is now going into retirement. Well, just give us some thoughts on that.
In a way, I should think that he's probably been thinking about this for quite some time, and I suspect there's part of him that's quite relieved now that he's actually been able to say, "Look, I've done my bit. It's time now to step back and let somebody else take this great yard forward." Who that's going to be, I've no idea, but. What an amazing career. 53 years and almost uninterrupted at or near the top. Yeah, he made a flying start. He'd done his grounding. He wasn't, born into the sport. He's had to do it the hard way, if you like. And it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary what he's achieved over such a long period of time. And one trainer who'd been training about 25 years said to me the other day, whether I'm going well or going badly, I'm still here. And the most important thing in this game is to last. So Michael Stoute has lasted, and he's been right at the top. And also, I think he was dominant during a period of vintage operators as well, particularly in his corner of Newmarket. When you had Stoute on the Berry Road, Luca Cumani just down the road from him, and Sir Henry Cecil over the way up at Warren Hill. That was a wonderful period for flat racing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And I think we'll get a word from the guys and Johnny up at William Hill as well. But I think whatever generation you're in, be it even in the last couple of years, I think Stouty would have been involved in getting each of us hyped up for our racing interest, careers, whatever reason. Have you got a favourite one or two Stout horses, maybe? Interesting ones? Or
ones that stand out, the obvious ones that stand out. I mean, I'm not quite old enough to really pretend that I remember Shergar's Derby. I was only not even quite 3 when he won the Derby, so I don't really remember Shergar apart from what happened to him afterwards. So horses that really stood out to me, I suppose, when I was really enjoying my flat racing in the mid-90s, horses like Singspiel and Pilsudski were 2 stout horses that were very typical of the way that he did things. You thought they were good horses, they became very good horses. Ultimately, you could even argue they became great horses. And then you had the other part of Stout, which was his ability to ready brilliant horses to win classics. King's Best being one of them, and King Best's son, Workforce, being another one of them. I mean, neither of them was straightforward, but they were both absolutely brilliant on their day. Harbinger in the King George was a sublime performance. Right there, you've got 3 amazing performances. And then you've got all the horses that he just kept making better and better and better and better. I was talking about with Rishi the other day, actually, on my podcast. We were talking about Opera House, who doesn't really get many column inches when you talk about Stout greats, but he managed to win the Coronation Cup, the Eclipse, and the King George in the space of 5 weeks, and then ended up holding his form all the way to the end of the year. I think he was only just touched off in the Irish Champion Stakes and all the rest of it. So he was a horse who doesn't get much play, who I thought was a cracking horse in the early 90s. But there are loads. Zilzal was absolutely brilliant. I wish he'd stayed in training as a 4-year-old. I think Stouty does as well, but he wasn't able to keep him for another year. I think he would have been arguably the best he trained if he'd had another go with it.
Let the biographies come. One man that is old enough, of course, to remember Curragh is probably sitting next to me.
I do, yeah, just about. I was 13.
Yeah, well, you're definitely old enough.
I wasn't, but I wasn't into racing then. I wasn't into racing. I learnt about Curragh about 3 or 4 years later when I was starting to get into racing. Didn't see that, never saw it live, never knew anything about it.
That stuff will go into, well, it already has, you know, it's mythical, isn't it? Favourite Stout horse?
Cool.
Johnny?
Oh, Curragh, without a doubt. Without a shadow, yeah.
How old were you?
11, but I can remember it.
I remember Ajdal. Ajdal took a dialogue. I like Ajdal. Ajdal, he ran in the Guineas, and he ran in the Derby, and after that he became champion sprinter, won the July Cup and the Numform. And my mum and dad went to visit him at Dallamore Stud, I think it was, years and years ago, and he took a chunk out of my mum's shoulder.
There you go,
my favourite horse.
It is. I remember when I got into racing, Golan and his association with Kieran Fallon was huge, Kalanisi. I think Russian Rhythm, a lot of people remember. And I guess let's go to the youngest member of the party up in his sauna. I suppose you're looking at Crystal Ocean, John, and that likes, are you?
No, a little bit later than that, but it won't be everyone's favourite horse. Mine was Conduit. In particular, his first Breeders' Cup turf, running down Eagle Mountain and Soldier of Fortune. I thought that was he was one of my favourites.
Oh, great stuff. All right. Right, actually, talking of Conduit and the likes, Nick, while we've got you, before we talk about the action today, and maybe a bit beyond as well, ARC, we've got the ARC Trials meeting tomorrow, of course. We saw a couple of 2-year-olds on Thursday in France light up the scene there. Misunderstood and Zagoria, I think, the granddaughter of Zarkava. It's now all about the ARC weekend. Johnny Simpson's got a great line when I spoke to him this morning on the phone, sort of teeing up the prizes of his show. He said, bar Al Riffa, they're all running today or tomorrow. What do you make of it? Who do you like at this current juncture?
Yeah, that's a good point, because of Look de Vega really is the one that interests me the most, and everybody else. I mean, he looks so good when winning the Jockey Club. He's bred to get the arc distance. He looks super straightforward. His trainers are massively underrated. If you look at what they've done every time they've had a half-decent caliber flat horse, they've excelled with it. So I do think he deserves to be the horse upon whom there's most attention for the arc. You'd like to know who Aidan O'Brien really believes is his number one arc contender, given that City of Troy's got alternative targets. Is it Opera Singer with all the weight allowances for being a 3-year-old filly? Is he going to get at a peak at the right time? Is it Los Angeles? We'll find out whether he's, I think, capable of running against this sort of opposition with credit today. And then, of course, also in the Irish Champion Stakes, you've got Shin Emperor. And fascinating to see whether he can run a race encouraging enough to make you believe that he can emulate his brother Sotsas and win the arc. So I think the Japanese horse Shin Emperor and Look de Vega are the two horses that are the most intriguing arc runners this weekend.
All right, that's what Nick said. I mean, Look de Vega runs tomorrow in the Niel, guys. Johnny, what price is he for the Niel? Have you got that up already?
Yeah, he's 5-4 favourite for the Niel.
Come on, odds against. I mean, there's this theory that you don't need to be cherry ripe in your trial and get there. He's won so far. All the big studs are involved. I had an argument with Lauren Barbara yesterday, who's his biggest fan. He said to me, he doesn't need to be ready. The pressure on him, they've all backed him for the arc. This guy, the pressure on him to win tomorrow is huge.
I all say this every time, isn't it a fact that non-trial winners don't win the arc anyway?
Well, this is a question that we had.
I don't know when the last one that got beat in one of those trials actually won it.
Sotstas was the last Niel winner to go on. John, have you seen this guy over in France? I mean, his form's been franked all over the place.
Yeah, look, he's a very worthy favourite. Like, it's so close to the arc now that there's no way a horse isn't going to be very close to being ready anyway. Like, there's no way a horse is going. To me, I wouldn't use that as an excuse. Like, he should win tomorrow. Look the Vega, shouldn't it? Without a shadow of a doubt.
I am surprised he's odds against.
Yeah, I would be too.
He's beaten Sosie already, who might be the typical on the day horse potentially trained for it, but. Even Delius tomorrow, who was a very big talking horse for the Rouges, going into that, he's held through Sosie and looked at Vega. This is a very, very good horse. Ronan Thomas has found one, the jockey, you know.
Yeah, look, he's a very worthy favourite, without a shadow of a doubt. I would definitely give Continuous a chance at the same time. I can see a situation where Ryan Moore rides that Indy Arc.
He runs in the Foire tomorrow.
He runs in another mile and a half race.
I only said Foire because Lucky's on the line.
Yeah, but he has very little to beat. He's one horse that could contract a lot from his current price, Continuous, because I'd expect him to win and win well, because he's nothing to beat. And if he doesn't win this race, he's absolutely no business.
Yeah, Continuous is interesting, isn't he? And Nick's point about who's the number one is very interesting. Opera Singer, she runs tomorrow, of course, in the Vermont.
If she doesn't win tomorrow, she won't be even in the Arc, I'd assume. Los Angeles, like, if he runs well in the Champions Stakes, and I'd expect him to run really well in the Champions Stakes, he may well be kept back for the mile and a quarter race in Ascot. And you could see a situation where Continuous is the mount of Ryan Moore, and he's the value at the minute, I would have thought.
Johnny Dineen arriving to the Arc party. Let's go to Johnny Simpson for a final word on this. We spoke earlier, John, and the one horse that you are keeping on side is Los Angeles.
Yeah, we've tried to be on the right side of the Amy O'Brien horses, Los Angeles and Continuous. I think those two are potential shots. I don't think Los Angeles can, unless he runs an absolute shocker today, I don't think his price can go out. So I think he's a little bit bigger elsewhere. There's some double figures. You do worse than have a few quid on Los Angeles or Continuous before they run.
Right, OK, that is the Arc, of course, coming up in a couple of weeks' time. It's the big day tomorrow. Get out of Sky Sports Racing. Let's now go, while we've got Lucky on the line. Your tips are all over the website, I imagine, this weekend, Nick. What are the best of them? You've got a good strike race on this show. Pressure's on.
Kinross was a horse that I wondered whether he'd gone when I saw him. I thought curl up a little bit at the end of the chip chase, but of course Montesid was the winner. He's gone on to win a Group 1. It probably wasn't as bad a run as it looked. And really, Kinross does need 7 furlongs, and he does need cut in the ground. And there might just be one last hurrah in him, and I think it's today. I expected, when I looked this morning and realised that William Haggis's horse, Lake Forest, was out, I thought Kinross would be much shorter than he was. And when I logged on this morning, he was still 5-2, 9-4, 5-2, something like that. I don't know what price he is right as I speak now, but I actually think that's a pretty reasonable price. It all hinges on whether you think Lead Artist is a real one or not. I need to be convinced. I know there's some people who think he's a Group 1 winner in waiting, but I think this could be Kinross's day to have a last hurrah. So I think I'd make him the Nat. There's lots of horses I sort of fancy, bits and bobs. Right Here, Right Now, I thought was very good on his debut at Newmarket. I mean, the form's not worth that much, but the impression he created was deep. I don't think it's a brilliant Champagne Stakes. I thought he might run a big race there. He's still about a 5-1 shot. I see that I don't know who it is. Forgive me. I see the spotlights in the Racing Post had put up. Who done the spotlights today, Dave?
Well, good question. There's about a million of them that do
Where
it,
at?
actually,
What
Nick.
race? And I'll
Which
find
race?
out.
Donny for the Portland.
Hang on, we'll get there, Nick. Give us your selection and I'll tell you.
I agreed with whoever it was, him or her, because it was Aberama Gold.
Ben Hutton.
Ben Hutton. Well, poor old Ben. He's going to be cursing me because I agree with him. Aberama Gold, great record at Donny. There's just enough juice in the ground, I think, and he's tumbled down about a stone this year. But I'm not sure that just looking at all his runs, I don't think the spark has been completely extinguished. There are some horses who thrive in these big fields, and other horses who kind of recoil from them, and he's definitely in the former category. So I quite liked him. I don't have that strong a view on the Ledger. I thought the filly might be able to run a big race, you got to me, but not with massive confidence. I think Hector Crouch was at Salisbury last night. He rode 2 winners. Beckett had 4 winners across the day, including some very nice young horses. Team's in great form, and Hector's got a plan. Now, you've got to have a plan when you've got 3 formidable Ballydoyles against you, but he had a twinkle in his eye, and you can see they've been thinking about this for a while.
Yeah, that's interesting. A word on the Irish Champion Stakes before we move on. And maybe tomorrow, Nick, of course, because it's the Flying 5 day. Moyglare, etc. Bedtime story coming back out.
I think you can make a pretty cogent case for pretty much all the runners in the Irish Champion Stakes. I think it's quite a hard race to be really dogmatic about. But like quite a few others, I'm quite intrigued by Ghostwriter and how he's going to run. I suspect the Ballydoyle team will have half an eye on everything Tom Marquand's doing on economics. And if I was Tom Marquand, I'd be much happier that I'm out in stall 8 than I would be if I was in stall 1. But I think Ghostwriter might just get the perfect trip through this race, just sitting in behind the speed, enable him to settle. I think the track will suit him, the ground will suit him. And if he doesn't bounce off York, and he did have to run quite hard at York from a bad draw. If he doesn't bounce off that, I think he can at least run well. But it's not a race I can take a very dogmatic view about, because I've got more good things to say about most of these horses than bad things, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a brilliant lineup. Have you had a look at tomorrow, Lucky?
Well, I tell you what, I tell you who I do think will run well today in the Matron Stakes at a big price is Rogue Millennium. She saved just about her best effort in this race last year when Tom Clover trained her. And I know she hasn't really gone on for Joseph, but her form hasn't dropped off. And to me, it seems that she and the stable are blooming at the right time. So I wouldn't be surprised if she ran quite well. Tomorrow in the Flying Five, is this Believing's chance to get a Group 1?
Yeah.
I suspect it might be. I suspect the track at the Curragh might get her closer to Bradsell. And I wonder with Bradsell now whether he's a horse you get one shot across the bow. Brilliantly trained by Archie Watson. So I thought maybe Believing might win the Flying Five.
Oh, I think Johnny Simpson might be agreeing with you, actually, funny enough. Nick, it's great to have you. Before we wrap up your stint in your ambassadorial role, a race that you're looking forward to for the rest of the flat calendar, Nick. I've got a feeling I know what you might say here, but you might throw us a curveball, I don't know.
Well, you probably, if you thought I was going to say the Breeders' Cup Classic, you're probably right.
Correct.
Because it'll get viewers this year, won't it? That's the point. It'll get eyeballs because Aidan O'Brien's made it a 50 times more interesting race than it would have been otherwise. And don't forget, Jérôme Renier is going to run Factor Cheval as well.
Brilliant.
So that adds another bit of European spice. And that's a definite. That's not a possible. If you factor in the American 3-year-old picture, it just has that nice little bit of, a nice opaque quality to it. It actually makes it a really intriguing race. And there's always the feeling at Del Mar that you can get a funny result as well. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that very much, I think.
Have you spoken to your colleagues like Brittany, etc., and have they told you, because there is a thought whenever I'm on Sky doing the stateside stuff, you speak to the Peter Fornatale or Tom Collins, who's really made a name for himself and is obsessed with the game. They think this, if you're going to have a go, this might be the year.
I think it possibly is, yeah. I think it possibly is the year. I don't think there's an absolute standout superstar. I do these Breeders' Cup Classic rankings that a few of us have to do every week, and I've had at least 4 or 5 different horses in the number 1 spot. I mean, it's kind of fierceness now by default, but you still know that he's chucked a couple of clunkers in his career, so he can easily do the same thing again, sent over to a track that can produce the odd funny result. So no, I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing what Calandagan can do in the British Champion Stakes. That could yet turn out to be a pretty good race. That was a massive run at York, an absolutely massive run. He could be a real star, this horse. So looking forward to that as well. Loads to look forward to. Some of the 2-year-old races at the back end are going to be great. Races like the Fillies Mile, I think, will be the 2-year-old Fillies division this season looks really strong. We're going to find out a lot more after the Moyglare tomorrow, but all those Ger Lions, Juddmonte horses, the horse of Beckett's that won last night, where I'm down at Salisbury, the filly of Godolphin's Desert Flower, who won the Mayhill, Graffard's Superstars, Aragana. They're all across Europe, the 2-year-old sort of staying fillies, classic fillies for next year, look a really strong bunch.
You were even giving us a thumbs up there for those fillies, Nick, as well. I don't know if you saw that come up. There was a nice little emoji that came up as well. Nick, we'll give you the thumbs up as well. It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Post.
Anytime. It's always fun. Cheers, Dave. You're doing a great job.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick. Nick Lutt, then. There you go. What a treat that was. And we now move on with the show. We go to the paper roundup for you, as we call it here, in our running order. Let's see what you can get on a Saturday morning. If you're buying the Racing Post, or indeed you're part of the Members Club, there is your lovely front page. Let's get down to business. Of course, economics and Aidan O'Brien taking each other on. Chris Cook, the front runner. Page 2 says, how much faith do you have in the favourite? O'Brien sets a leisure puzzle for punters and rivals. Unmissable stuff. Economics versus August Rodin. DJ, I know he's heavily favouring the former, I think, to give him a wow moment, says DJ in the Irish Champions Festival, where DJ will be in situ. Lorden gets the chance to show he can fill Moore's boots. It's of course Wayne Lorden who gets the plum ride on Illinois, according to many, at Doncaster today, with Ryan going over to Leopardstown. But You Got to Move is a big player there. 3-year-olds have a strong hand as they try and foil Nick Lux. Nap Kinross to repeat in the Park Stakes. Of course, he won it 2 years ago under that man, Frankie Dettori. And we give you this premium stuff all the time here on the Morning Bros. Tom Siegel comes on. He gives you American Affair for Jim Goldie in the Portland. He gives you the unbeaten Jancis, and a really good line. I read Tom's copy last night. He says, got to be seen to be believed, the unbeaten Jancis, what she's done so far. We'll see what Johnny Dineen makes of that, and the 250 at Leopardstown. Ghostwriter, there you go. Richard Kingscote, Clive Cox in the biggie, and Sunway in the ledger for Tom. That is your paper roundup. Right, draw breath. Nearly time for the Saturday previews. That's the insider who fancies hitting Kills up on WhatsApp. They'll probably have you doing it, Johnny, as well, wouldn't they? You came over yesterday for a load of filming as well. Pound of flesh time, isn't it? I feel like Shylock here. Let's get Johnny on the insider, shall we? Talking to Johnny, let's go back up to Johnny, the Judge Simpson. And we've been teasing it. We've set the scene. We've had Nick Luck. We've got a couple of tips out. What are the boosts? And I'm saying plural. Just the Saturday ones, please. We've got one coming for Sunday a little bit later on. Irish Champion Stakes?
Two shocking results, anti-posts with economics in August Rodan. So we're going to double down on that position and we're going to boost them both. So you can have 5-2 economics and you can have 3-1 August Rodan. I would advise taking that as soon as possible because we've got a Sunday boost which will be available when we get to those previews. But for now, economics 5-2 and August Rodan 3-1.
Ooh, there you go then. The Dutching, Allay, the top two. Who knew? In the Irish Champion Stakes. I might think that might carry some favour with some of the panellists, but perhaps not with the others. So we're really looking forward to previewing that in its entirety. Live now on the app or indeed the William Hill site. Go and get involved. If you want a piece of economics, DJ says it will be a wow moment. You're getting 5-2 about that, and 3's about August Rodan. All right, okay, Saturday preview time. Let's go to Doncaster, shall we? And stick with Johnny the Judge as he gives us the market on the Champagne Stakes. Everyone looks forward to this 2-year-old time. It's not just in France that they're holding up. Now we're really on the road, aren't we, to the Dewhurst et al. And Chancellor, big talking horse for John and Thady Gosden. I'll tell you what, Johnny the Judge, if you're watching, Sweet William yesterday was a very welcome winner for the operation. They had something at 3s on or something that was turned over at Sandown. They've been finding winners hard, but punters still expect them to take this out?
Yeah, it's been a quiet period, but Chancellor's been all the rage anti-post. He's at 4 into 7-4. A little bit weak this morning, out to 9-4. The horse they really want to be after here is Wolf of Badenoch. He's 5-2 from 4-1. So this is our top price guarantee race, so we won't be beat across the industry on prices here. That's
what we want to hear, isn't it, punters out there? So this is the place to be, William Hill, for the opener every Saturday. You will not get better than 9-4 or 5-2, 11-2, Bay City Roller, whatever you like. Starters, you mean to go on then? Let's do that with Paul Kealy.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting market, isn't it? Chancellor has run 3 times and Wolf of Badenoch has run twice, and the handicapper would have Wolf of Badenoch given Chancellor £7. So he's achieved a better level of form in fewer runs, and he's not fav. You can understand why he's not fav, because Chancellor did win very easily last time, but he's trained by John and Thady Gosden. But I couldn't back him at the price he is on the slide now. I know that he's clearly well fancied, having been backed all week. But he doesn't have the form of Wolf of Badenoch, and he's taken more runs to get to the level he's got to. So I would favour him. I have it on good authority that right now is as good as they've had for a fair while at Richard Spencer's. So that's another one to put in the mix. I'd have been tempted by him if the form had worked out at all, but it hasn't.
Yeah, Lucky gave him a name.
Sometimes you can only just beat what's put in front of you, can't you? And
sure.
He did it very, very easily.
Ross Orion will attract a lot of people.
Yeah, I think, but I think Wolf of Badenoch's got the right form. That form behind the Moorish City at Goodwood. is pretty decent. It was only his second run. I think he's the one to beat.
Yeah, we're seeing Amori City tomorrow in the National Stakes, aren't we? We'll get to that, Johnny. Where are you playing here?
I went with Chancellor, and I also went with Aftermath. Back to two of those. I don't know. I have a feeling Amori City from Wolford Paddock. I'm not so sure that was a great race even though it was a Group 2 race in Goodwood. I have a feeling it was like, okay, right there, right now, won a Newmarket Maiden, won it well, but like you wouldn't know what's in those races. Basically, Roller seemed to struggle, like to carry a penalty in Chelmsford. He was all out. He looked all out to me anyway. I was saying, but I thought Chancellor's actually nearly almost his best run as the day he was the third. I thought the wheels kind of spun a bit there. He was in behind horses, and
he had a Jake the Peg that day.
He looked like he took ages to get going or something like that. Yeah,
he was very coltish.
Oh, did he? Oh, was he? Right. Yeah. Okay, that's even more a reason why he probably has a better chance than you'd think. I think that was a good race in Ascot too. I'd say that's a smart horse that won.
Working out sensate. It always does. Didn't it? Last year we had Rosallion win the Bat Headery.
Yeah, and the second horse bolted in since in Salisbury. I think Chancellor's at 9-4. There's no comparison between him 9-4 and Wolford Badenoch 5-2 myself.
He's been very well tipped up, Wolford Badenoch, isn't he? Johnny, what price are we expecting Chancellor to do? I'll tell you what I know about Chancellor. Field of Gold winning the Solario Stakes was a huge moment for the Gosdens because they don't believe they've got any 3-year-olds of any note. And they kind of need the 2-year-olds to start propping up their 3-year-olds next year. Field of Gold and this guy, I think this guy was top, actually, when we were sort of given the lowdown about what they were expecting. When this guy won on his debut, Field of Gold didn't manage to do that, of course. They were hoping this might be the one that took them towards classics and stuff. We see it in the Champagne Stakes. We got 9-4, 5-2. I wonder whether this is early money for Wolford Badenoch and whether Chancellor will harden up nearer the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sort of the early tipping pieces have all been all over Wolford Badenoch. This will dry up eventually. I think Chancellor's price at 9-4. That is standout top. It feels more a 7-4, 15-8 chance to me. The one that's really weak is that right here, right now. That was as low as 3-1 midweek. We can barely give that one away at the moment.
A small but select field.
Aftermath's very dangerous here, though. At the same time,
give us the case.
Well, I tell you, like, he didn't have a clue what he was doing in Newbury. And the fact that he's a maiden, I think, makes him probably, people saying, maiden can't win a race like this. But from what I'm hearing, this is a really, really good horse, Aftermath, and a much better horse than Monumental. Whereas when they put in the betting, originally Monumental, for some reason, was way bigger, was way shorter than Aftermath. Like, if Aftermath had a 1 in front of him from Newbury, and I'd say he's the best horse in that race, the way he finished, he'd be like, you know, the 3-1 72 shot. Like, I'll be shocked if he doesn't run really well in this race. I could even see him winning it. He'd be the danger to Chancellor as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, all right. There are the range of opinions on the opener at Doncaster. A strong case for Wolford Badenoch, well tipped up, and a strong case for Chancellor. And Aftermath says, Johnny, this is a decent horse. And starters, you mean to go on? You will not beat the prices in this opening race. That is the 150, and Johnny says it's more like a 7-4 shot. Take that 9-4, guys. That's the strong advice we're giving you there on the Morning Post. Right, we move on and we stick with Doncaster. 7 furlong is a specialist trip. We're going to see plenty of them today and tomorrow, but they don't come more specialist than the 5.5 distance of the Portland. And Johnny Simpson, you and Jamie McBride, you're insufferable with your sprint handicaps. It's all you go on about. Come on, you can give us the case as well as the market for whatever you fancy here.
Okay, well, we're paying 6 places here, so there's plenty of each way value to go at. We've played a fair spread of business. Shagran and American Affair, they seem to run every other week at the moment, and they're popular enough. Spoiler alert, I'll cover up is the nap today, so I'll state the case for that a little bit later on. But we've seen money for Vintage Clarets and Abraham Gold. They're both 9 and 10, both from 16-1.
Well, Abraham Gold has been given a shining mention by Nick Luck. Ben Hutton, Ben's been doing spotlights as well as me and you have been here pretty much. He's one of the northern powerhouses of the spotlight world. That's one that's been backed. Let me think why another horse is being backed here, Kills, because the Clarets is a strong play for you.
Yeah, I just really like his chances. It just comes to form in the autumn, and he's done it again this year. He's only been 8th the last 2 starts, but he's run really well. Hasn't been beaten far. He was the meat in the sandwich last time, right at the start of the stalls at York as well, and he only got beat just over 2.5 lengths, something like that, in JM Jungle's race. And he ran well in that race last year before coming here and finishing 5th when he hit the front too soon. And then after that, he won his next 2, both off marks higher than he's on now. So he's well handicapped. Richard Fahey's booked Jamie Spencer for the first time in more than a year.
Yeah, it's fascinating that.
He had some really good times with Fahey sprinters over the years, particularly Mr. Lupton, if you remember. And it's his first ride on a horse for Fahey's for well over a year.
Did you back that, Mr. Lupton? I seem to remember you and Mr. Lupton had a thing.
He was a bit of an old favourite of mine.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of Fahey sprinters that were old, and 7 furlongs horses that were old favourites of mine. Heaven's Guest was probably the number one. But yeah, I think I just think he's only 5. He's in the right place handicap wise. He's run 9 times in September or October. He's won 3. He's been in the first 3 and another 3, and they're all competitive races. So I just think he's going to run well. And he was 25s earlier in the week. He was 16s last night. Do I play at 9s? You know what I mean? He's getting on the short side of a 22-runner handicap.
That was going to be a question for people that aren't involved.
That should be 9 to 1 the field, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? So, I'm not as keen on him as 9s as I was on him at 20s and 16s. But, I mean, I'm sure he's going to run well. And I think Rumstar, the one that just popped up on the screen there, will run well too.
Another project.
Yeah, he's just, he was a good 2-year-old. And he hasn't won since he was a 2-year-old. But he spent last year listed in group company and he wasn't really up to it. The only time he ran in a handicap, he unseated at the start in the Stewards Cup. But he ran a really good race behind Lethal Levi at Newbury and went off single-figure price for the Wokingham after that. Blew out there, but was second of 16 in his group in the Stewards Cup. And it was a bit of a slightly quieter run at Goodwood last time. But I think he wants a big field, and I think he'll run well. But I mean, it should be 8, 9 to 1 the field rather than 6, I think. And I think those two, and I think the stand side will probably be where it'll be.
A single figure draw in this historically is tough to defy for whatever reason. Johnny Dineen, doubtless you were burning the midnight oil pouring over this race.
No, but I did a programme with Martin Dixon in Ascot, and he intimated that Chagrin was better than his 90 rating, whatever he had at the time. So I have been watching him since.
Yes.
I backed him the next time, and I actually backed him in 5 places in the race, and then he was 5th or something like that. So I got my money back, and I backed him in Windsor the next night. He got beat, and I actually had a small bet in him the last day. I never bet in these races, but I've been following this yoke, Chagrin,
the fastest yoke you'll see in a bit, I imagine, Johnny.
He's gone up £3 from the last day. I thought he won snug the last day myself.
He's a 5.5 furlong horse. Right, I'm with you on this.
Put on the line, I think. Another one that needs to be put on the line, I think.
But he's got Russell Ryan, who's a great jockey too, you know what I mean? And I could see him being in the first, the place where I definitely think he'll get your money back. Whether he'd put his nose in front of the line is another thing. But I do think he's a good proposition to be 5 places or whatever they're giving in a race like this.
He's an annoying horse for me. I let him run last week. I think I said he was likely winner, but I didn't like the price 130, whatever. Of course, he dots up. I backed him the time before that at York. I backed him on his debut for Mick at Sandown when he was a really unlucky loser.
That's right, yeah.
I'm sorry for any Chagrin backers out there. I'm not letting him run at 6s today because I do think he's a 5.5 furlong horse. I think he's just shy of 6. They tried him over 6. He didn't quite get home. The other horse in the race is Johnny Simpson's big hope here, Cover Up. Watch that back at York last time out. He was a good thing beaten. Now, it doesn't always work out, but he's been well found in the market for the Gosdens. He was screaming that he was going to win a race soon. You could throw in the likes of Hoken Bay. You remember when we did Goodwood last year? You thought it was immoral, didn't you? You were so keen on him. He ran like a drain, and ever since, has he been like a Chagrin for you since?
No, I sort of forgot him. I let him go. So it didn't actually bother me when he bolted up the other day.
It bothers
you. Know what I mean? It
It's
didn't bother me.
Yeah, all right, okay, that's the Portland. It's an absolute cracker. That's 225. Where are we going next? Let's get the market up. Go again, 6 places there on the Portland. We go to Leopardstown. It's the Kenneth Williams race, as my granddad used to call it. It's the Matron Stakes. And Porta Fortuna is 5 to 4. Fallen Angel, I haven't seen her for a little while, 3 to 1. Absolutely fascinating, as are the next 2 in the betting. Jancis and Elang Yalang. Soprano at 14s, an absolute cracker again. This is one of the races each season, Johnny Simpson, that I really, really enjoy watching. I always look forward to it. What's your likely winner? And Porta Fortuna hard at 5 to 4?
Yeah, she's been really strong. We've actually been just a notch or 2 under Porta Fortuna since the market went out. We're quite keen to get after Fallen Angel here. That 3 to 1 is top, so we'll be trying to get a few quid out of her. A little bit of money for Jancis, and I can really see the case for this. If this was with bigger connections, she'd be half the price that she is. And Elang Yalang's support is drying up. Obviously, Dave Jennings did a good piece a few weeks ago. She was 16 to 1 into single figures. Now that support is drying up a little bit, but Porta Fortuna is going to be one of the horses we'll probably need beat today.
One of the Group 1s on the card today, Johnny Dineen. And just a couple of angles I want to come into you with. We'll get to Fallen Angel. Kills has got a big play on this, by the way, guys. We'll save that up. Porta Fortuna, 5-4. Are you sensing this is the time to take her on? The next question is, tell us about Jancis and Yilang's run last time at Leopardstown had social media going wild.
Yeah, look, Porta Fortuna, I actually opposed her the last day in the Falmouth Stakes, and you know, sometimes you get a kind of a feeling about a certain horse, a bit like Frank will see the stars, you say, look, the show's over here, not laying this anymore, you know what I mean?
Show is over.
And Porta Fortuna gave me that feeling, Newmarket, from about 2 furlongs down, I said, I'm done here, this is going to hose in, and it did, it won easy. Would I want back at the 5-4 in a race like this, where there could be trouble in running in a race like this? There's very often trouble in running in these kind of races in Leopardstown. It's a pity they don't have a false running rail here to throw them into the middle of the track, because that would alleviate that kind of problem. And I just think that you might need a little bit of luck in running. Fallen Angel is obviously dangerous, of course it is. I think Jancis has absolutely zero in a race like this.
Tom Siegel thinks you've got to see it to believe it, what she's done.
Yeah, well, if it wins, I'll have to consider retirement.
You're looking for the bridge.
I just couldn't have it. I couldn't have it.
This is the moment that Johnny Dineen, you'll all hate to hear that because Johnny might be retiring if Jancis wins.
Look, I just can't see it 13-2. It's not even the stable pick. Yes. Do you know what I mean? It's not even a stable pick. How can anyone fancy Jancis?
Vespertilio is Willie's.
Billy Lee's picked Vespertilio over. He's a choice. So, like, unless Billy Lee's a clown, which he's not, Jancis can't win. I don't think Jancis can win anyway, to be honest. Like, actually, when a fella was calling out to betting to me the other day, he says 5-1. I says, Jancis 6. I said, who trains that? 6 Jancis. I said, well, the thing they won it. Stop, that's not 6-1, is it? I wouldn't back it at any price, genuinely. And I don't fancy Lang either.
Tell us about the run last time. It was a big drifter in the betting, wasn't it, on its comeback? And it's fair to say that it was. I got loads of messages about it. They were like, have him in. It was Ryan Moore nudging away. John, just a quick word before we go to Kills.
Look, I suppose, it was its first run back, and their dog was dangerous to be back because they have other targets on mind, and when like the kind of drift beforehand probably told you that it wasn't going to get knocked about anyway. Even the best version of Lang will struggle here, I think. You know what I mean? Even at the very best. I mean, she was only 4th to 5th in the Guineas or whatever she 4th is in the Guineas over a mile. I'd say she wants, like, they tried over a mile and a half. I'd say she's probably a 10 furlong horse. But even at her very best, I couldn't really fancy her. I think the winner will come from the first two, and I would give Soprano and Versatility, but the middle two are the two I'd be against here, Jancis and Lang in a big way.
All right, there you go. Right, Kills. You've heard Johnny dissecting all that. What did you wanted to say something, Yilang?
Well, not about Yilang. I mean, obviously, I got all sorts of brickbats for saying she'd win the Oaks by a mile, but she was very sick. Did she get a cut or something like that? I don't. Whatever went wrong with her, but I'm not convinced she's trained on anyway. But you were saying anyway, this is a race you really look forward to. But a minute after it, 9 times out of 10, you've been scratching your head. Like, you know what I mean? You look at the horses that have been beaten in this race: Alpha Centauri, Mother Earth, Lawrence, Winter. It's just
you don't
loads,
look forward to this race.
Well, no, it's just a case that there have been in 7 of the last 8 years horses with similar form claims to Porta Fortuna and similar prices, sometimes shorter, and only one of them's won. Like, you know what I mean? I think any trainer will tell you that, and a lot of these horses had won one of the Guineas in England or in England or Ireland, and any trainer will tell you how hard it is to keep a filly on the go. Now, she's had a break, obviously, so she'd be fresher than some of them that have come in there, and just because other horses have got beat doesn't mean she will. But when you see that record, it does make you think, well, I might find a little play here, and you hit a filly that hits form at the right time. And I thought there were 2. There was Jancis, and it came to the forward. I'm just not sure that I believe that. All right, and then
you're not believing it now, are you?
And then, I'm not believing it at that price, but I would always go for the bigger price when I want to back something each way.
There is often a horse like this in Group 1 company that just has never tested its mettle. Oh, what's the horse of Charlie Hills's that Cicero's Gift? Do you remember that? In St James's or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
really short, aren't they?
I think it's possible because Soprano ran in France last time, but everyone's ignored it. But it's the first time this season she's been given a positive ride rather than dropped out the back.
Yes.
And she looked in a completely different league to Group 3 company. Now, she needs to be a completely different league to Group 3 to win a Group 1. part, I think she's a massive price for a place.
Remember George
really
Bowie
do.
saying straight after that was the plan. But with a filly, you are right to keep rolling the dice, I think, aren't you?
Yeah, why not? If you're in that sort of form, I mean, she didn't half pick up, you know.
Look at Porter Fortuna. You could have said the same about her after Royal Ascot. She was beaten in the Guineas. Everyone thought maybe she trained on or not. I know it was
Yeah,
near
yeah,
miss.
yeah.
She's the best horse. She's the most likely winner.
But she is short at 5 to 4 in a race like this.
She's short, and I just thought
Yeah.
Soprano was a crack in each way better.
Like the way I look at against the city, she's 40 to 1 first time out. That's 2 runs ago.
Yeah.
Now she's in the matron. She's
In a
third favourite.
late maiden, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a huge step up.
It's going to be fascinating to watch this. This is the matron. Remind us the tips then. Soprano, 14 to 1
Soprano
Spotty.
each way, yep.
Yeah, John?
I fancy the favourite, but I wouldn't have a fiver on it at the same time. You know, that
Right,
kind
you'll
of
be
way.
watching from...
Well, if Jancis is around 13 to 2 and you can lay it, I'd bet 6.5 to 1 on to be nosebleed. That won't win anyway.
You might be laying instead, John, I think. All right, OK, retirement May Becker. Willie McCreary, are you listening? Let's move on then. We go back to Doncaster. It's the Park Stakes, the aforementioned Kinross at 5 to 2. There's been a right old gamble in this race on Poet Master. Lead artist, pretty solid Johnny Simpson to my eye, around about 11 to 4. And then you've got the likes of Al Shabab Storm. If there's a bounce back horse in the race, it could well be, should have been a ring. Then you go to Fativa, and the beautiful Pogo will just bounce out and make them all go. What is the market like?
Yeah, there's one horse that's been, well, not with us it wasn't. It's been really well backed all week, and that is Poet Master. It was put in 14 to 1 amazingly with a few firms. We went out at 5 to 1, so that is as strong as a fancy for this race as there is. Kinross, we're happy to take that on 5 to 2. You know, he's getting on a bit now. He's just not quite as good as he was. Lead artist, he's got a chance, but the form of that the Goodwood race, we're just not so sure. But Poet Master is the really strong one here.
It's very rare these days, guys, that I back on a Friday before a Saturday or even a Sunday. Well, of course you do. Of course you do. Somehow you're still surviving. But I don't.
I got
do
the
it so much
14s.
these days. I sense more like you now, John. I tend to wait until the 10 minutes before the race.
Yeah, look, sometimes you see something early and you say that can't be there, like when the time comes and you go for it. But a lot of the time, I think, in modern day gambling anyway, from my perspective, I think you're probably better off to have most of the pieces of the puzzle before you go in, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it was an exception to the rule with me yesterday with Poet Master. I thought after Lake Forest come out, he would have been a lot shorter. And I am very keen on this guy. He won at the meeting last year.
It's one of the weirdest things. You very rarely see, even anti-post, or yesterday when Lake Forest was in, I wouldn't have had Lake Forest anyway. I thought Postmaster should have been almost favourite, definitely second favourite anyway. Right? But it's very, very rare that you see at any stage a set of prices where 3 firms are 14 to 1. 3 other firms are 5 to 1, 11 to 2, and those prices just stay there for ages.
Yeah, weird.
Like, you know what I mean? And they were. And you could. I mean, I can't say you could have what you want on because you get stopped. But Poet Master was 15 to 2 in a place yesterday morning, which was bonkers.
I've got a theory as to why that is, Keels. It's because it's forget the Carl Burke angle, which punters love Carl Burke, don't they? But it's not so much that. I think that you've got Kinross, who's got a huge following. If you're looking at these horses in this race, you've got Lead Artist, who Nick Lutt said people believe that he's going to be John's next Group 1 winner. And
but then they got the evidence of the form book, which shows you the Poet
and he
Master's
won
the
a
best
Group
horse
2
in
in
the race.
Ireland when maybe not everyone was looking at it. He hosed up. Was it the Minstrel Stakes?
Yeah.
All right,
Hosed up in it.
Yeah, and the second and third have won really, really well since. He got an RPO of 120 that day.
Yeah, this is a big chance, I think.
Which is far better than any horse in this field has run this season. Far better. Right? Yes,
He's got the penalty.
Yes, he's got a penalty. Right? It wasn't like it was a flash in the pan. He's won 5 of his 7 starts.
Kinross defied the penalty, of course.
He's only been beaten once at 7 furlongs.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he's going to win, but he was massively the wrong price.
Haydock was very fast ground, and I was speaking to Declan Ricks, who I do a bit of work with on Sky. He's a good judge, Declan. He strongly believes that this horse needs a bit of break between his races.
Yeah,
as well.
he could easily do, but his defeats have come 1 on very fast ground and 1 over a mile, and he's a proper bang 7 furlong horse, isn't he? And he showed loads of speed there.
Yeah.
He was the same price as should have been a ring the other day, for God's sake. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
He could be overpriced, should have been a ring.
He could be now.
He could be now,
because he's almost doubled.
He's a Group 1 horse in this race. So anyway, that's the case for me. Poet Master's in the scissors
Poet
as well.
Master, very strong. In fear Kinross if he returns to his best, but he ain't got there yet, has he?
And it was a price thing, right? But when does Kinross become backable, John?
Kinross, to be, some horses have no price as far as I'm concerned. Do you know what I mean? A bit like the one in the previous race, or back to any price. Kinross is probably maybe.
Was that wouldn't back all day?
No, I wouldn't back the one at Jansen's at any price.
Right, but you'd lay him. All I'm saying, would you? You might not back Kinross, but would you lay him?
I don't fancy Kinross as such, but I wouldn't like to be laying it at like 7-2 either. Do you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't go out of my way to lay. But if you gave me 4-1, would I back it? I don't really want to, but it's probably a good price. Look, I'd say 3-1 is as much as it should be or can be anyway. I think. Look, it obviously has a chance. On its best form, it'll probably win. But it is 7 years of age. It doesn't seem to be getting any better, and it's surely vulnerable. I could see Portmaster lead. I could even see Al Shabab Storm having a chance in a race like this.
He's got a lot of pace about him. Yeah.
He's a horse that I think will be in the first three. Whether he's good enough to win, I don't know. If I was to play this race, I'd probably have something each way on Al Shabab Storm. I don't really fancy Kinross, but I wouldn't be going out of my way to lay it. I wouldn't be saying dogmatically it cannot win. I don't fancy it, but there's a difference between not fancying it and putting your money down at the same time.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go to the Irish Champions Stakes next. Just a final work on this Park Stakes, which is fascinating. Whatever wins it will probably go for the foray. That's what you think, isn't it? Because we don't have any Group 1s over the 7, as most of you know here. Domestically, that's on Arc Weekend. Who will it be? I imagine, Johnny Simpson, this market, 10 minutes before the off, will really be revealing.
Yeah, you'd expect the market on Kinross's price to be the most influential here. That is the 5-2, 11-4. That's the top it's been all week. So we'll see what happens with that though. I expect lead artist might be the horse here who's a little bit weak.
All right, there you go. That's what I love doing the morning post. All the markets are set. We know what we're doing, and we can really talk about betting. If you do as well, like and subscribe on YouTube. That's what it's all about. Okay, let's go to the big one in Ireland today, and it's the 325. Somehow it's gone before the ledger. It used to be like 6, 7 o'clock, didn't it, at night? Now here we are, and it's economics 2-1. August Rodin, of course. They are the two boosts for you today, guys, at William Hill. They're Dutch in the first two, laying them in the market, taking them right on. You can have now 5-2 about economics, who was a lot shorter than that when the market went up. This is again believing that he's not yet running a Group 1, unlike August Rodin, who is somehow a 3-1 shot. I thought the punters might be coming from a bit more. Throwing Ghostwriter, who was, of course, placed behind City of Troy last time out. This is a cracker. Come on, Johnny, we've seen the boost. What's the market going to be doing as they go off?
Well, I think economics is unbelievably weak. I suspect the 5-2 and the 3-1 in the boost, they'll be available for another half an hour or so. So I'd advise taking them. But there seems to be a weight of money here for Ghostwriter, a little bits and pieces for Los Angeles. Now that could be a little bit of more balance in the book. The front two are really weak. The next 3 or 4 in the betting are fairly strong. We're keen to keep Ghostwriter on side, but Richard Kingscote is going to have to be at his brilliant best here. We mentioned the Coolmore Wall in previous shows. Now there is 2 blockers here in Los Angeles and Hans Anderson. So it'll be fascinating from a tactical point how this plays out. There's only little bits and pieces, though, for the Japanese horse. Could he be a little bit fitter than most people think?
You've come up with some great sayings since we've been doing this for the last year or so, John, and the Coolmore Wall is definitely one of them. Have that on your headstone. There has been a poll out there of the viewers out there. Who do you think will win the Irish Champion Stakes? It's tight, but the viewers are mad. Look at that, 1% in it. For August Rodin over economics as well. Kills, I want to come to you with this because a lot of people will read your Weekender column and see it online, of course, going into the week. You made a good case for August Rodin. I also read somewhere, I think it was in the Post, he's a very hard horse to warm to. That might have been Tom's column.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. It was a begrudging case as well that I made for him. But when I looked at it, the more you look at it, you've got a horse that, has seemingly had a big bleed when winning a dance. He's never run in a Group 2. His best form was probably beating JRB by a couple of lengths. You're not talking standout form for a horse that was as short as 11-8, 5-4 for this race just a few days ago. Yeah. I mean, it's just, and he's running against a 6-time Group 1 winner who won the race last year. Yes, August Rodin has in problems. I think I actually absolutely agree with Aidan O'Brien. I wrote that in the column a couple of weeks ago. I don't think he actually stays a mile and a half despite having won a derby. He beat non-stayers in that race anyway. And he's at his right trip. The rain has dried up as well.
Won it last year.
He won it last year, so the ground's going to be okay for him. And he's the horse to beat. Whether I'm going to go plunging on him at 5-2, 3-1 is another matter altogether. But I think he's the most likely winner and should be fav.
Can we all agree on that? And viewers as well. John, can we agree that August Rodin probably should be favourite?
Yeah, look, I think the top 2 are vulnerable myself. both of them. I wouldn't back either of them, to be honest.
But who should be favourite, John? Who would? I mean, are you surprised that Economics was put in as short as he was, and consider he's not running a Group 1?
Yeah, look, he was 11-10 or so. I saw him last Monday and Tuesday, and I knew he would be at least 7-4, 2-1. He could even be bigger. He may not even be favourite when the time comes. Who knows? He's drawn out in 8. I have a feeling that's not going to be a great draw myself. And fellas are saying you're better out in 8 than in 1. 8's a long way out here when they're all like.
It's funny though, the amount of races over that trip, shorter and longer, that are won by horses at this meeting with really wide draws.
Because I think of what you've said previously,
That
the
slingshot
matrons are
down the
race to
middle.
trouble.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you see something on the inside and you go, I'm not going to get a run. Good things get beaten.
It's all about getting a position early on from the 8. You know what I mean? That's the thing. And maybe a good, like I always say, good jockeys can negate
Well,
bad
Tom's
draws.
very good at that, I
Yeah,
think.
and bad jockeys can negate good ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
what I always say. So,
Sure.
look, it all depends on how he gets in the position after 2 or 3 furlongs and see where he is then. You know what I mean? But, look, Economics is a horse, as Paul said, reportedly bled and thing. He won a race there in beating JRB. He won it well now. He's a good horse without a doubt if he's right. And I don't think it's a vintage race, to be fair.
We spoke quite a bit about this, guys, didn't we, on the show? With yourself, John, I remember as well, and Kills maybe after his Deauville win. Now, if I throw a horse called Baid into the mix here and give a bit of yin to the yang with Economics fans, he did it with Baid, right? Who just quietly built him up 1-1-1-1-1, and the market was right about him. He was unbeaten
Baid
until
never
the
had
Champions
blood
Stakes.
gushing out of his nose, though,
the
did he? You know what I mean? And he did have a big break afterwards as well.
No, fine. But
when
what
they-
we saw last time at Deauville was a horse that was
He's a good
destined
horse,
for top honours.
Like, put it this way, I would say, no,
He's almost certainly a Group 1 horse, but how good of a Group 1 horse is he? Is he just in the mix, or does he deserve to be clear favourite?
So this is a big lay for you, Kills.
It's not a big late 2-1. It was a massive late 11-10. Obviously,
Yeah, all
so
right.
it's a little bit different.
It's getting a bit silly now,
I
is it,
think August Rodin should be favourite.
I do.
I'm not in a massive rush to back him by any stretch of the imagination.
I've got to be honest, unlike Chagrin, who I said earlier, I seem to get on the right side of August Rodin. Whenever I've backed him, he's won.
Yeah.
So I actually do quite like him. I remember being there at the King George Day when I wasn't on him, and he just what was that all about? And I was amazed that they went back there really after that last time out. Maybe they thought it was just such a winnable race.
But these are his conditions to 10 furlongs and good ground.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Paul is right. Even though he won 2 derbies, Irish and English derby, I think, he don't stay a mile and a half properly, does he? Like,
No,
really?
no.
All right.
But look, I don't know. I wouldn't back him at the same time.
You do like Los Angeles, though, John?
I do. I put it this way: Economics can win and win well. Gus Rodin wins, he falls in my opinion. You know?
It'll be a battling success. It'll be half a lap.
It won't be pretty.
No,
yeah.
it won't.
Yeah.
Ghostwriter, okay, he was third in that race in York in the Judd Monte, but he was well beaten, wasn't he? At the same time, he was beaten 5 lengths. I mean, I think would be a poor indictment on this race if he could come along and win.
And Calandagan came from a mile behind him as well. Just went straight past him.
As far as I'm concerned, there's only 2 horses running the Judd Monte, the winner and the second.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what was third. You know what I mean? You know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
And look, I think Los Angeles has a great chance here. I know fellas have said he's gone back from a mile and a half to.
My concerns would be he might be a bit slow for it.
Yeah, maybe so. But to me, if he's to have any chance,
Rodway called him an old boat, didn't he, last night and in his piece?
I
He said
don't
he's-
think he is.
Rodway calls an awful lot of O'Brien horses, as well, but he calls them
From one
he calls
to
them,
another.
He calls them
Yeah.
the O'Brien clones, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
used to
We've got the
manage-
Cornwall Wool and the clones. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he's to have any chance in the race like the Arc,
Yeah.
he has to be in the first 3 here.
Yeah,
Has
all
to
right.
be.
Okay.
What-
Well,
what-
this is a
You
fascinating
forget
battle.
Luxembourg only got beat half a length in this race
Exactly.
last year.
Do you know what? I've
And
got a
he'll just
funny
run.
feeling he's gonna
He'll
run
just
well.
run his race, won't
Yeah,
he?
and he's
He
got
will just
pieces
run
on
his
for the
race.
first time.
Yeah.
Of course,
I mean, you
previous winner.
wouldn't put anyone like put it this way: the 6 runners, the 2 rags have no chance, and the front 2, you wouldn't be surprised if none of them were placed. So I think there's a bit of angle there for the likes of Ghost Ride, Los Angeles Luxor, and even Shinimbra, who I don't know much about, maybe each way or something. That's the way I'd be going. I'm going with Los Angeles each way.
All right, okay. It's great to see so many of you watching this morning. I just had a little peek. Like and subscribe. Press your thumbs, you blackguards out there. That's what I want to see. Get those likes up. That's what we want. That's what William Hill will keep the lights on for. If you want to see the show keep going, get those thumbs up out there. There you go. All right, look, who wins? You guys out there. You think it's going to be August Rodin? It's going to be an absolute treat. As is the oldest classic. It's the final classic of the season, domestically, of course, and probably that in the world, I imagine. 340, 7 runners go to post. A lot been said about this race during the week, Johnny, but the trifecta from O'Brien's, a lot of people will be sort of trying to get the top 3 or work them out in what order. Illinois, 11-4 now.
Yeah, he's fairly weak. I didn't expect that when I was passing this up start of the week. The sort of the money horse here is Jan Brueghel. I mean, we are keen to take a fair few quid out of this horse. We think he's a work in progress and possibly one for next year. Looks like a big gawky thing, green under pressure. The horse we're going to try and keep on side here is Grosvenor Square. We think this he could nick a lead here and be tough to reel in. Another horse we're going to we're side against is You Got To Me at 6 stone. We added her in, obviously supplemented on Monday. But this is a little bit of an afterthought. This is a fairly good race, and we'll be keen to get a few quid out of her.
All right, okay, yeah, it's all right. This is the classic then, of course. Los Angeles, many people's idea of the winner this after he won the Irish Derby. He goes to the Irish Champion Stakes. We've got 7 runners here. Usual mouthpieces on Twitter saying this is the worst classic I've ever seen since last year. They said that, and of course
it's never that good anyway. Is
exactly.
It?
It's just like, come on, let's bash this race again.
It's the Plodders Classic, isn't it? At the end of the day, don't worry about it.
Excellent Kevin Morley's 10-year trends in the Saturday column. I think 8 out of the last 10 have had a RPR average greater than 1, 2, 3. Most of these guys, I think it's just wild ways. Most of these guys qualify. They're all very good horses in their own right.
They're decent horses. I mean, no point in knocking. It is what it is. It's a staying race for 3-year-olds. They're never brilliant, but I mean, they're good horses. Yeah. And they've all got reasonable amounts of form to them. We've got a Voltigo winner in there. We've got a Grosvenor Square one by 20 lengths last time. Somewhere, and You Got To Me have been placed in classics. So what's wrong with it? It's not that bad.
Yeah, all right. And a lot of people said about a lot of people don't like the fact, do they, guys, that Aidan O'Brien's 25 entries and stuff. So all that sort of thing. Look, it's a St Ledger. You've seen very, very good horses get beaten at St Ledger as well. You remember that Crystal Ocean year, of course, when the grey horse won at Capri. What do we have? A Stradivarius in it. All right, we may not have. The Ledger can be good. I remember betting Snow Fairy in it once, and 2 furlongs out, I was mentally retiring. She didn't get home.
This is the thing, you've got to get home, haven't you? And we know certain horses are like to eat.
Shergar. There you go. You were around.
49 or something like that,
That's it. All right.
Well, we know certain horses are like to, and certainly horses aren't. And the most likely stayers are the top 3 in the betting, in my eyes. But they're all trained by Aidan O'Brien, so it wouldn't surprise me if he does have the trifecta. I don't think Sunway's bred to it, and I don't expect him to get the trip. And I don't think You Got To Me has got any chance of getting the trip if she pulls as she normally does, because it's another 2.5 furlongs from York when she went second.
Okay, let's concentrate on her then, away from the big 3, if you like, in the market. Tom Siegel said about Jancis that runs in the Matron, you've got to see it to believe it. You can see it to believe it and go back a couple of shows where Johnny Dineen tripped a 25-1 winner. And it was You Got To Me, wasn't it? Didn't you put this up?
Oh, that was that was a miracle.
Again, you've got to see that to believe it, Johnny. It got over the line. Do you know what I mean? But you are showing why you've been in the game so long. You are dead against this, aren't you?
I can't have this in my mind. This is another one that doesn't run, as far as I'm concerned. It's a non-runner. Any price is a bad price. Any price is a bad price. I can't have that out of my mind.
This and Jancis are the red flags at Dineen.com.
For me, yeah.
The lose double.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if this wins. Yeah.
Get your lot on.
I'd be amazed if this wins. I just can't have it. I just can't. I think O'Brien will win the race. I think one of the front 3 will win.
Okay, well, which one?
Look, I can't ignore the jockey, the stable jockey picked Illinois. I can't ignore it. I mean, these people should know what they're doing.
They don't really get it wrong, do they?
No, not at the top levels. The likes of Ryan Moore's, Paul Townends.
DJ did
some
a
of the
piece,
choices are going to be really hard.
Well, that's the problem.
You know
that is an issue, and he did
this
write
is
it.
Surely going to be.
Oh, it probably is. Well, the betting tells you. The betting is telling you.
And is the fact that Gavin Ryan, is it Road Grosvenor Square, the time before last?
Yeah.
A hint that he's going to be on it anyway.
Yeah, probably.
Because he saw off everything other than Round Tower.
Yeah.
Not many horses win by 22 lengths.
No, it was an awesome performance, but still.
It was. I mean, the horse was second. The horse ended up finishing second, picked up the pieces, was only rated 78.
And he had a non-trier in the race in Absurd.
But he did. Careful. He did break some other very good horses, didn't he? And he did thrash. Even when he got beat by Round Tower, he thrashed Vauban, who came out and won the Lonsdale Cup.
Yeah.
I think his form is as solid as anything else in the race, and he's going to go to the front.
But can you make the running like he does in a race like this?
It's a long way home at Donny, isn't it? That's the worry, isn't it? That's the worry.
Yeah.
What did we see yesterday? He's got to get it right, isn't it?
Yeah, but to go off 10 clear, I don't see it. I have a feeling that they'll rein him in.
Trushan tried to do it yesterday, and Gregory tried to do it yesterday, and even though that turned into something of a sprint,
I suppose somebody somewhere will show you, can tell you some horse that stormed off in front of one. It's an Achilles heel, I think, of him, and the fact that Jan Brueghel, like, I think Illinois would put away horses like Trust Their Instinct a lot quicker than Jan Bruegel did. You know what I'm saying? I know it's only 10 furlongs and he's going to go better and better.
Yeah.
But he's only 3 runs. He's much experience.
He's a baby,
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
he? He looked like that.
That's
what will worry me. I mean, he is. I mean, he's one of those horses you can see develop into a really good stayer, can't you, next year? But is he
He's
man
got a funny
enough?
old head carriage
Is he
sometimes,
man
isn't he?
enough at the moment? And he's a big old unit as well, isn't he?
The one thing about Illinois, you'll have seen Los Angeles by now, won't you? And that's,
Sure.
Yeah, and that's
Sure.
the help.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. All right.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, if Los Angeles falls out of the back of the telly and the Champions Stakes is nowhere, you'd be worried about Illinois. But I think that run in the Voltager was a cracking run.
What about the second favourite? We've got, just before we move on, you'll notice we're on the magic 11 o'clock hour. Sorry, Kills, still got Sunday to go.
Yeah, you told me we'll be done by 11, Kills. We've got half a dozen
You
races
haven't
to do
half
on
been
Sunday,
harping on, Kills. I'll tell you what, mate, unbelievable scenes. Yeah, all right, so an extended show for you today. Which, listen, again, if you're enjoying, I'm serious, do give us a like and subscribe. That's what they count at the end of the year, of course. And this is a great show, isn't it? We're really enjoying having you watching it. Dear Amada, you can see there, I wouldn't be surprised to see him run well. I'd be surprised if he won it. Let's face it, he did have his chance at Windsor last time, and I was very keen on his chances. But let's just have a word about this Jan Brueghel. He looks to me like he could be lining up in an Arkle. He's a massive beast.
Yeah, look, he's a good horse, no doubt he is. But he's definitely not the finished article, is he? Like, really? Do you know what I mean? He never ran his...
Were you impressed with him last time?
I was impressed with the fact that he won because I think a lot went wrong for him. But he's going to.
I was on Bellum
He's going to
Justin,
have to.
mate.
He's going to.
Bellum Justin won a race in America since, didn't he?
He won $1.4 million,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then that would be a Johnny Dineen line. That's probably, you know what I mean? It's probably like a Class 6 handicap at Wolverhampton. It's not that bad.
It was supposed to be a biggish race, wasn't it?
It was a very expensive race, but
yeah.
a brilliant race targeting from King Power.
Yeah.
He's just going to have to have grown up a lot to be able to beat this lot. That's the.
Like put it this way, Illinois is solid, but
Yeah.
but not unbeatable. But it'll take a good horse to beat him at the same time.
Let's get a final word from Johnny Simpson before we round up our Saturday previews for you. Jan Brueghel was a horse that we spoke about, John, before we came on air. And yet you've got him at 3-1, but you don't really like him, do you?
Yeah, there is money for him. It's funny you mentioned the Arkle. He does have a little look of Tidal Bay about him. Maybe a big noseband would help. No, I think Illinois now, I do like Grosvenor Square, but Illinois, to me, is getting to a backable price. If he touches 3-1, that is just too big for me there.
All right, OK, Saturday, done and dusted. A tip in the St Ledger, please, Paul Kealy.
Grosvenor Square.
Johnny?
Illinois.
All right. I haven't got a clue. I genuinely don't know. I'm even more confused than when we started that preview now. And I'll be cheering him on from afar. All right, then, who wants some free bets? Still staying ahead of the field then. Right, let's whiz through Sunday, shall we, for you, because it's going to be unmissable stuff. We switched to the Curragh, of course, in Ireland. We've still got Doncaster to come. We've got France to talk about as well. A small matter of a Group 1 or 2 over there as well. And Johnny, for those, we're going to reward punters, aren't we, for sticking with us through the show. It's time for a Sunday boost.
It is, yeah. We're going to take on Bradsell in the Flying 5. They're 335. We were 7-4, which is already top. We're going to go 9-4. We are really keen to take this guy on tomorrow. I'm sure we'll get him to the race a little bit later on. But you can have 9-4 up until 12 o'clock today.
Absolutely marvellous, as are our viewers. And I said like and subscribe. The thumbs have doubled. Should we see if we can get them up and triple them? All right. If you want Johnny Dineen to retire after these 2 good things go in, get your thumbs up, like and subscribe. If you want Paul Kealy to sit up during the show, like and subscribe.
Not happening.
At least he's still awake. All right. Okay. We go to the 150, and again, you're not going to be beaten on this for price, are we, John? Keel said the Portland should be 9-1 the field. Strike Red 7-1 the field.
Yeah, this is to double check the offers when I logged on this morning. This is not only a top price guarantee race, but 6 places as well. So if you can't find any value in this race, then there's no hope for you. I will just give a little mention for Torrey Vega here at 12-1. A little bit of a cliff horse of mine, but a big jockey uplift. I think he'll be one for the extra places here.
Oh, they're all moaning now, John. All the viewers are just about to leave the show. He's not tipping Torrey Vega again. Of course, this was the at the Wokingham tip, wasn't it? Of course, massive gamble. Had his chance last time. He could just sneak into it. Does anyone like Torrevega or something else in the race?
I mean, I think Strike Red's probably the right favourite. He won a race. He won a big race at the Curragh last year. He was second to Elman Jed last time at York, running his best race since, and he's a pound lower, I think he was, than when he won it last year. So yeah, he's one of the right ahead of the market. If you want to back something each way for a first 6th place, though, it's, I think it's about 25 to 1. There's a horse in here called No More Porter, who has run 16 times at the Curragh, has faced 304 rivals, beaten 255 of them, finished in the first 6 13 times. From 6 furlong to a mile. He just runs his race every time he runs at the Curragh. Yeah. And you're getting 6 places, 25 to 1. Have a little bit each way on him.
There you go, John.
If I was forced to have a little bet, Kiki, without a doubt. Keke. Line him trains, he's a good trainer of sprinters. He's gone up a small, but only gradually up, and he's won his 3 races. He's won, it's a half length neck short head. He's one of those that has been produced really, really late. And I'd say he's a suitable play for 6 places. He'll be finishing. Whether he gets there is another thing, but I'd expect him to be in the first 6 at the same time.
Kiki, all right, a 10 to 1 shot.
Kiki,
I tell you what, as a presenter of this show, because you go a bit fast, the one way to keep ahead is to know that you'll probably talk about horses that are on the page, so I don't have to scroll down. It's like you're trolling me here. I'm going down. Kills has gone for a 25 to 1.
There's a 20-odd runner handicap. How are you going to get them all on the page?
Well, no, I've got them on my phone, but they're usually up there. Do you know what I mean?
Free on the page on your phone, mate.
All right, okay, all right. I've got a big phone. All right, Strike Red is also, I just do not like. I cannot get him right whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised to see St. Lawrence run very well, by the way. That's another one. And thank you, guys. They brawled down the page for us. There it is. No More Porter for Keels. All right, let's move on then, shall we? What have we got coming up next? This is a brilliant Sunday, of course, and it's going to be at Donny we go. And we've got the Potence Network handicap here. Venture Capital, another sprint handicap for you. There's Haymaker, all the old favourites there, down to existent. Blimey, is anyone still back in here? Maracebo at 10s as well. Johnny Simpson.
Yeah, this is another one of our top price guarantee races, and I think 11 to 2, 6 to 1 the field. 11 runners about sums it up. I think you can make a case for nearly all the runners here. So I'll let this one go through to the keeper.
Right. Well, I've got my page open. Right. I've got the scroll is open. Who are we going for?
Well, there's a ton of well-handicapped horses on old form here, the likes of Badri, who I finally jumped off that cliff, and existent. They've all got chances, but Brave Nation's a 4-year-old who ran a career best last time. He's got form figures at Donny, 1-2-1-1. He's just going to run his race, isn't he? 7 to 1 looks fair.
7 to 1 on Brave Nation. All right, John.
Badri would be one I'd be little each way, small each way, but again, a very token bet in a race like this at the same time. It's 11 runners with plenty of chances.
And to make it laugh, the Racing Post app just took me to Chartin tomorrow, so I didn't have my page open at all. But we can move on then. It's a competitive sprint handicap, a really good day. Legends Day, of course. Surely back Gerard Mosso, right? All right, okay, here we go. It's the Group 1 action, of course. We've talked about the Niel, we've talked about the Foire, of course, where continuous runs. Here we have an absolute barnstormer. Blue Stocking looks like it's got absolutely everything in its favour tomorrow, John, but plenty queuing up to take her on.
Yeah, a little bit of a disagreement in the office here. I'm quite keen to be after the older fillies, Blue Stocking and certainly Emily Upjohn. And Jamie's quite keen to be after Opera Singer up in trip. I think the horse to keep on the side here is Survey at 7 to 1. I think he's going a little bit under the radar. This is a good fill-in. 33 to 1 for the Arc might look a little bit big after this.
Oh, bloody hell, hang on a minute. I haven't got that on my page either. Hang on. Survey. All right, that's good. This is a really, really good card tomorrow, guys. You've got the Dupan and all that sort of thing going in. The fact that you've got Blue Stocking at 7 to 2, John, a lot of people only get the opportunity to back her short prices against fillies. You can get a second in the King George. Does she float your boat at 7 to 2?
She doesn't, because the fact the blinkers coming on her is a worry, I think. It's definitely it's a tricky little race. The blinkers on her, Opera Singer's gone up to 1.5 miles. Emily Upjohn is an enigma as well, isn't she? She's struggling to win. The one I was going to go with was Sparkling Plenty. It's reunited with Tommy Piccone. Is that his name?
Tony Piccone.
yeah, he sounds like related to Al Capone.
Timothy Piccone.
Is that his name? Yeah.
It's a brilliant name, isn't it?
It is classic. Yeah, very good. Your man rode him in Demuro rode him in Goodwood, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Jeez, he looked like Brad Monroe Wilson, didn't he? Demuro.
Wow.
Oh, geez,
Ace Impact's jockey, of course. We're talking about here, Johnny. Is he Hartman in jockey?
I don't know. I didn't take much notes on before, but I don't know. Look, surely Tommy Bacone is better than him. I'd go with Sparkling Plenty over maybe over the other two.
Yeah, I felt like a bit of a gangster after that. I backed her at Goodwood, and I thought she was going to. I don't know how opera singer hung on that day. The fractures were quite strong. I'd be very keen back on softer ground to have a go at her. I think a 9-2 as well. But there are plenty here kills.
There are, yeah. I mean, opera singer's surely going to struggle. I didn't think she'd stay a mile or two, to be honest, but she did. But she should have been beaten by Cedar Fire, who, with a more prominent ride, would have caught her. I think Blue Stock is probably the one to beat, can get the negative side for blinkers, but I think she probably needs them. She can be a bit lazy, can't she? So they might help. We'll let the bloke from Sopranos do the riding for Johnny's one. But no, I'll go with Blue Stock.
You will?
Yeah, I'll go with Blue
All right,
Stock.
okay. I mean, opera singer I thought was just... if she turns up in the Breeders' Cup, you'd be mad keen on her, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, mile 3 sort of fast ground turning.
Well, so I suppose Sparkling Plenty to get the trip as well here. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, she will, but she settles. She's still a very good... It was the first run for House of Carb as well, wasn't it? This is going to be an absolute treat. It's 2:57 tomorrow. Do not miss that over at Longchamp. Group 1 action coming away. We move on. More Group 1s coming up. Is it coming up next? The Moyclair Stud Stakes it is. And a small field here, isn't it? Now, this is a very interesting market. I think, having gone off at like 50 to 1 on and $1 million to 1 on in our last couple of starts, John, that even money about Bedtime Story will be getting a lot of people pulling up the covers and wanting to back it.
Yeah, it's fairly popular, but this is, I mean, she only fell in last time, and this is, I know there's only 5 runners, but there's 4 proper fillies here, Red Letter, Lake Victoria and Simmering. Bedtime Story, if you want to back her, she's 5 to 1 top price for the Guineas and 8 to 1 for the Oaks. They're proving really popular, but I think this is more of a watching brief. 4 really good fillies there.
We saw on Thursday this Zagoria of the Aga Khans come out. You still haven't seen it, have you?
I haven't, no.
Well, let me know next week's show what you make of it, all right? Because a lot of viewers would have seen that. I think they've clipped it up on Sky and at the race, and that she looks like an absolute worldie. But still, in all the classics for next year, she might not come over. Of course, Bedtime Story remains the one.
Yeah, I mean that 9.5 left winner Ascot's become a distant memory, though, isn't it? I mean, yes, she beat one easily enough the next time at 16 on, but she was the same price the time after that and needed 4 cracks with a whip to beat the same horse, as she flattered out.
Did they ride her differently last time? Did tactics have a bit to do with it? Because she was very prominent at Ascot, wasn't she?
Yeah, but look, I
She
suppose
was prominent enough last time, wasn't she? She wasn't like
at those kind of odds, is she going to be tuned properly in those races? Like maybe let down after Ascot, and you might see a better horse tomorrow.
Yeah,
knows, you know?
I mean,
That's the bet, I think.
You might do.
Yeah.
But you might not. She might have flattened out. Now,
She was one of the most
Red
impressive
Letter-
winners since her dad that I saw that
she
day.
was, yeah. She was,
She
yeah.
was awesome in Ascot. No, to be
She
fair.
was, yeah. And the third, is it Brian? He's okay.
He's a
Yeah,
good horse.
Brian's a good horse. Yeah, should have won last week.
Also, you know, you can certainly make the case for the form. Red Letter should have beaten Lake Victoria first time up and absolutely bolted up next time. Still a little bit on the green side, but I think she's very good, and I think Simmon's very good as well. By the way.
Yes, very good.
I'd almost go close to making Simmons second faff. So
The
at
last
that
time they had
price,
5 runners in this race.
Yeah,
She's a big field, isn't it?
it's a quality race. Not
Fair enough.
Yes,
It is
it
a
is.
quality race.
Half of them usually don't have a chance.
Yeah,
It's fair.
these are good horses. Remember, the 25 to 1 shot's the thing that Bedtime Story only beat half a lead last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even money?
I'm a liar. I'll back Simon.
Okay. Ollie Sank's having a good year with the fillies, of course.
Yeah, I'd kind of sit in the fence. I think I wouldn't want to back her earlier, to be honest.
Just to watch and
Like the fact that again, I'm loath to go against the stable jockeys at the same time. He's picked her over Lake Victoria, who looks more or less the same horse as Red Letter, not much between them. And if Bedtime Story is better than Lake Victoria, she'd probably win.
Okay.
But I wouldn't. I'm still not going to back her at the same time, you know.
Yeah, what are you doing out there, guys? Everyone just thought she would be unbeaten. You're getting a chance for even money tomorrow with William Hill. That's the Moyclair, of course, which usually sees. Did Carl Burt won that last year, didn't he? With the
Fallen Angel.
Fallen
Yeah,
Angel.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so look, it's a really, really good race. Now we go to the Flying 5 at the Curragh. Bradsell 7 to 4. That is your boost. Nick Luck said, "Is this really the chance for Believing to get a big day in the sun?" I'm sort of nodding along at that. Let's see what the panellists think as well. 9 to 4. Bradsell tomorrow. What a comeback it's been for Archie Watson's Queen Anne. Not Queen Anne. What do they call it these days? It's not King Charles Stakes, is it? What did he win when he broke the heart of a great mare that's now retired, whose name is totally escaping me, John Quinn's mare.
Or Highway.
Highfield Princess.
Yeah.
Highfield Princess.
Between us, we fudged that one. But that was the day when everyone gave Bradsell real respect. He then obviously had his problems, didn't he? He had his problems going into that as well. Very, very good horse.
He's a very, very good horse, yeah. Did he win because of the draw at York? I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. Believe him was about 5 lengths down on him a furlong and a half out. Got it down to 3/4 of a length.
At York, wasn't he?
I'd say because of the boys, maybe too.
Yeah. I'm a massive fan of Believe in turning the form around. I really am. I was a massive fan of her at York anyway, but she was just on the wrong side. She challenged widest of all, wider than asked for, and she went past her. And of course, she's won a good race here already, so we know she handles the track. Like, whether it should be quiet, 7-4, 11-4, and 12-1 bar. Not 100% certain. You could make a case for each-way cases for likes of Gibby the Beat Boys and Moss Tucker, who's obviously got good form here.
Last year's winner.
Believing, hopefully, we'll get the job done.
Yeah, she comes out the one poke, but they tend to come down the middle in this race, John, don't they? And
look, I looked at this race and I said Bradstall has 2 runs in the Curragh. One would have stood up in the stalls and understandably ran bad, but there's another run there which is a poor effort.
Can you remember who that was behind? Little Big Bear.
It was an Aidan O'Brien horse. Yeah, it was Little Big Bear.
He was back to beat Little Big Bear.
Yeah. I suppose he won the Coventry Stakes, did he, Bradstall? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A proper Ascot.
Yeah.
A proper sprint.
Not like Little Big Bear was a superstar, was it?
Well, he was that day. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, but he looked it that day, but he wasn't actually, was he?
From my experience of the Curragh, and I might be all wrong here, you have no chance drawing one in an 18-horse race over 6 furlongs. None whatsoever. That's my reading of it anyway. That's why I couldn't have Believing. Like if it had a bad draw in York, it is an even worse one here.
Kills is sharpening his.
Well, I know. I'm just gonna go and have a look.
Yeah, have a look at that because that's from even going to making a book in maidens. Now, if you would even in a maiden, if you're drawn low, you couldn't win. Now, mind in a race like this.
I looked at last year's race when Moss Tucker won.
Fairyland won from 1, Glass Strippers 1 from 2.
I knew he was sharpening his pencil. He's one of them. He is.
I mean, Highfield Princess with Moss Tucker was 6. Havana Grace 6, Ard Hooby 6, Stepper Point 6. Who's drawing the trap 6 for God's sake? But you know what I mean. It's plenty of low numbers of one.
Yeah, well maybe so. But I always thought that a low draw in the 6 furlong race of the Curragh.
I don't think it's the same as it used to be.
Is it not?
I don't think
well,
so.
Art Powell last year made a beeline
for
the stands rail from a high draw. They were in the centre. He made a beeline. They sort of split, but they tend to come down the middle. I'm with you, John. I've been watching the Curragh for a long time like yourself. That it used to be stand side all the time.
Yeah,
didn't it?
that's why I was giving Buccaneer 40 a chance from 18.
He could just come on for last week's.
Oh, definitely, and it hadn't run all the year. So I mean,
he had the draw in his favour last week.
He definitely has it here, I'd say.
He cruised.
Maybe I'm wrong about the draw, and maybe she can win. Believe it, and there's a great chance of it only for the draw. But you'd probably consider even backing it, but it would put me off backing it anyway.
I'll tell you what. My reservation is about Believing. When she ran behind Asfura and Big Evs at Goodwood, Ryan Moore was pleading with George Bowie to go to the Nunthorpe, and Bowie said, "This is the race."
Yeah.
I didn't think she'd go to Nunthorpe. It's not a surprise that she went because it's a big prize. I just wonder whether she's been around. She's had a few runs.
But there's 7 of the last 10 winners of that bold lad sprint in the first have been single-figure draw as well, including 1 from 2.
He's out here.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I'm not going to take it as a negative.
Yeah, well, if it's not, it has a great. But then you have the very nature of sprinters. You saw it last week in Haydock. Anything can win these races.
It's where the pace is, isn't it?
Yeah. Did our Slippers win this a couple of years ago? That's the sort of filly you want to.
Yeah,
sort of
take anything like things are double-figure prices of chances in races like this always. Yeah. Like I'd never be that happy about back in the York at 7-4 in a race like this anyway.
Yeah, there you go. All right, another sprinting.
I want to see Believing win one because I think she deserves to.
And Ryan Moore is very sweet on her chances. I think.
Yeah, like if the draw isn't, I could be well wrong about that. If the draw isn't a hindrance to it, then it has a great chance, obviously.
Yeah, just a word for George Bowie. After there's 2 themes here. After Soprano won in France, he told us everything about her. This was the day. And he told us after Goodwood when she was beaten, flying 5, not sure about the non-top. He's a very opaque trainer. Keep it up, trainers out there. All right, okay, let's move on. Keep going. What have we got coming up? Is that the last race on a Sunday? Because there are so many of them for us. No, there's one more coming up. Oh, yes, of course. Irish and Leisure Day, isn't it? And a pivotal horse for punters, Johnny, you imagine on Sunday, will be the great Kyprios. It's Giavoletto against him in the market, though. And Vauban, who we saw the best of pretty much at York last time out.
Yeah, Kyprios is a nemesis of mine and Jamie's. We're going to go again, though, with clear top at 5-6. There's slight drop in trip. Giavoletto, I don't think it's getting quite the credit he deserves. So we'll be keeping him well on side. And Vauban for each way punters there with the 3 places is attracting a little bit of support. But Kyprios and Bradstall, they'll be 2 horses who will make or break the day.
All right. Now,
Isn't Al Kareem running today?
he is. He's got a massive chance today at Chester.
Yeah, but you
by
won't be
the way.
getting free places tomorrow then, will you?
Yeah,
I don't
so-
think trying to put punters away there, Johnny? No.
Wait.
Yeah, Al Kareem, for some reason, still in the race there at 20-1, John. But
Yeah, but
got
he's
a huge
entered,
chance
but
at
he's
Chester.
going to run at Chester today. There's no way he's going to go over.
If he doesn't win at Chester today, I'll be surprised. Yeah, he's a lovely, lovely animal. All right, Kyprios, 5 to 6 on. Do you think it'd be shorter, Johnny?
I did. Let's be brutally honest. I did. I think it's bang 2-horse race, and I do think Kyprios is just that bit on a different level to all the rest of them, including Gia Valletta, who is a smart horse, obviously, and was able to step back to the 1.5 miles. He's a danger of sorts, without a doubt, but I just think Kyprios is unbeatable from 1 mile 6 up to 2.5 miles. I think he's a great price, and the bet of the whole weekend at these kind of odds anyway. Way better bet than the likes of Bedtime Story, Henry Matisse. This is a lot less uncomplicated in my eyes. This is an absolute moral in my book.
There you go. Yeah, it's hard to
After
disagree
the
with
way he smashed up the track record at Goodwood last time, you're surprised that he's only a shade of odds on for his next race, aren't
that.
you?
Yeah, Sweet Williams
Like,
showed
you know,
what that
and
form was about.
Exactly, yeah.
It's one of those things. I mean, we've been following Gia Valletto for years, and it's hard to believe he's suddenly that good. You know what I mean? Like, at the start of the season, he'd have been amongst the 20 to 1 shots, wouldn't he? But suddenly
Every
he's come
so
out,
now and then, the botties
he's
get
won-
a horse like this.
But let's face it, he's thrashed Vauban at York. He's come out. I mean, okay, that race last time at Newmarket, he was beating a rest who needs an absolute bog. You rarely see.
Hamish is
Hamish,
19,
Yeah, I mean,
forget
they
that.
both need really soft ground. I mean, you rarely see a horse with as high a knee action as a rest has. Like, you know what I mean? So, I wouldn't go too mad on that. It's hard to believe there's only £1 between the two on official figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I wouldn't be looking to take on Kyprios. I haven't got the balls like Johnny to go smashing in at 5 to 6 by the same token, but I mean, I wouldn't take him on.
On that note, that is our Sunday done. That's the bet of the weekend at the prices, says Johnny Dineen. But the naps, which have been boosted, are now to come. Shall we go on? A really good show today, guys. And again, show your appreciation there for the guys. And these are the naps. I'll start then. Poet Master, I made the case for him. 100 to 30, Johnny Simpson.
Yeah, that is 130. That is top price.
Top price. All right, what else we got? Soprano, what are you getting, Kills? 18 to 1?
18 to 1 win. I'd back that win only at 18 to 1 as well. Yeah, I mean, I've had a good bet each way. I think she's got a massive player for the places. I should be having a little forecast as well with Porta Fortuna, I think.
We are building up for a very lovely multiple here, guys, aren't we? Tell us about bubbling, Johnny, in the first today.
Yeah, it's probably got Shantays to beat. I find it very hard to go against O'Brien in a lot of these races. When it comes to these big days, there's only one show in town, really. You know what I mean? A lot
Yeah,
of
I was
the time.
surprised she was, getting towards that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
watch it back. She's hard to oppose to that.
she's won well in Galway 5 lengths. That's a big margin for a place like that in a 7 furlong race. And look, maybe Shantays is it's obviously it's a good chance, but and Lyons had a 4-timer at this meeting a couple of years ago, so he can't have winners here. But I just think O'Brien Moore 2 to 1. That'll do for me anyway.
All right, Nick Luck, William and Ambassador told us at the top of the show, get on Kinross. You're getting 3 to 1 about that. And Johnny Simpson, you're making it nice and easy. I'm with you on cover up. He's going to take the money in the Portland.
It is, yeah. After the Stewards Cup, it was the first race that came to mind. Dropping down to sort of 5.5 furlongs. Yeah, cover up. I think he'll take the world of beating in that race. So you can get 15 to 2.
Happy days! That's the Morning Post for another Saturday done and dusted. It's time to thank Johnny Simpson for another sterling effort. Is it you or that insufferable J-Mac next week, John?
I think J-Mac's back next week. So yeah, best of luck today.
All right, more winning naps for him, unfortunately. Cheers, Johnny. Thank you, Mr. Dineen, for coming over.
Yeah, delighted. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, Jack.
Going to enjoy a bit of London now for a flight home?
It was actually nice to talk about proper racing too. Like really good racing. There's some cracking racing this weekend. Really
Unlike
good.
a Sedgefield on a Tuesday night,
Yeah.
which we do such a good job of polishing.
I'm looking forward to the last 3 handicaps at Leopardstown.
Oh, there we go. Of course he is. He had to weigh in, didn't he? Kills, it's been a pleasure as well, man.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, good stuff. Thank you for joining us then. We'll be back next week, of course, but let's just enjoy what's to come, shall we? A fabulous Saturday, a brilliant Sunday from us all at the Morning Post. Enjoy the sport.